Hello, welcome to our news broadcast daily, and following are today's headlines.
President Trương Tấn Sang begins official visits to China. Vietnam Military History Museum receives Vietnamese soldiers' mementos returned by U.S. veterans. Vietnam's four sites presented with TripAdvisor's top destinations in Asia award.
President Trương Tấn Sang began his visit to China on June 19th. This is the first ever visit to China made by President Sang as head of state. It is also the first state-level visit to the country by a high-ranking Vietnamese leader since it changed leadership.
The visit aims to affirm Vietnam's consistent policy in relations with the Communist Party of China and the State of China. It also looks to develop bilateral relations in a practical manner within the framework of the Comprehensive Strategic Cooperative Partnership. President Sang and his delegation were received by General Secretary of the Communist Party of China and President Xi Jinping and other high-ranking Chinese leaders. As neighboring countries, the friendships and cooperation between Vietnam and China have developed intensively and extensively in all fields. The two countries have to date signed a host of government-level agreements and cooperative documents. Vietnam and China have strengthened cooperation between the two parties by maintaining the exchange of delegations and establishing cooperative mechanisms between party central committees' commissions. China has been Vietnam's leading trade partner since 2004, with two-way trade hitting $41.18 billion last year. Bilateral trade in the first 4 months of this year exceeded $14.3 billion, of which Vietnam shipped nearly $3.9 billion worth of goods to China and imported over $10.4 billion.
A high-level party delegation led by Politburo member Lê Hồng Anh is paying a visit to Ukraine. The visit aims to boost the two countries' traditional friendship and comprehensive cooperation.
On June 18th, Lê Hồng Anh, who is also standing member of the party's Central Committee Secretariat, held talks with Pyotr Simonenko, first secretary of the Communist Party of the Ukraine Central Committee. The two sides exchanged their views on international and regional issues, as well as measures to strengthen ties between the two parties. They agreed to improve the effectiveness of their cooperation, enhance delegation, information, and experience exchanges. They consented to educate the two countries' young generation on their relations and cooperation. Lê Hồng Anh informs the host about the easy situation and affirms Vietnam's stance on solving easy disputes on the basis of international law. Simonenko lauded the Vietnamese delegation's visit. He described it as a milestone in the two parties' relations, contributing to their comprehensive partnership and cooperation. Earlier, the delegation worked with Ukrainian Minister of Foreign Affairs Leonid Kozara.
The French Navy's most modern amphibious assault vessel, Tornado, has docked at Bà Rịa port in the northern coastal province of Bà Rịa Vũng Tàu.
The crew and cadets on board were briefed on Vietnam's national defense policy by representatives from local Department of Foreign Relations and the Military Strategy Institute. Tornado visits Vietnam as part of activities to mark the 40th anniversary of Vietnam-France bilateral ties. Tornado is regarded as one of the leading assault landing crafts in the world. It is 200 meters long and 32 meters wide. It has a displacement of 21,300 tons and can carry 16 heavy or 35 light helicopters, 4 high-speed landing crafts, and 7 tanks or armored vehicles.
The Vietnam Military History Museum and the Defense Ministry held a ceremony on June 18th in Hanoi to receive mementos once owned by Vietnamese soldiers and returned by United States war veterans.
The mementos belong to Vietnamese soldiers Nguyễn Thị Hoa Nở and Nguyễn Xóa. The U.S. war veterans who had the mementos during the war in Vietnam have passed away. The presentation, made by their families is to satisfy the wish to bring the objects back to the Vietnamese soldiers or their relatives. Through the ceremony, we hope that competent Vietnamese agencies and people across the country will provide us with information about owners of the objects or their relatives. Over the past years, Vietnam has actively cooperated with the U.S. in searching the remains of U.S. servicemen who died during the war in Vietnam. Vietnam is in need of support from the U.S. as there are 300,000 missing Vietnamese soldiers in the country. In 2001, Thomas Smith, a U.S. war veteran, presented a party flag to the Vietnam Military History Museum. I am impressed by U.S. war veterans who say the Vietnamese soldiers are not scared of death, and they never think of death. Over the past time, the Vietnam Military History Museum has received hundreds of objects from U.S. war veterans who fought in Vietnam. Many valuable historical objects are on display at the museum, contributing to educating young generations about the country's courageous tradition.
The Mekong Delta province of An Giang has focused on swimming training for children in a bid to deal with the increasing rate of child drowning. According to UNICEF, 1 in every 4 deaths of Vietnamese children aged between 1 to 4 is due to drowning.
Since early June, the province, home to many rivers and canals, has kick-started swimming courses for children. Last year, it organized 356 classes for more than 12,700 children, according to the Provincial Department of Culture, Sports and Tourism. The locality has built more swimming pools and launched swimming contests to promote children's love for the sport. 12 children died of drowning in An Giang last year. The number was 15 in the first months of this year.
TripAdvisor's Top Destination in Asia award was presented to Hanoi, Ho Chi Minh City, Hoi An and Ha Long of Vietnam at a ceremony held in Singapore on June 18th.
Of the top 25 destinations in Asia, Hanoi ranks the 14th, Ho Chi Minh City the 15th, Hoi An in Quảng Nam Central Province the 17th, and Ha Long in Quảng Ninh Northern Province the 25th.
I think having 4 winners in the top 25 is extremely impressive. I think that really speaks to how the Vietnamese tourism industry is now appealing very broadly to the global traveler.
TripAdvisor writes on its website, the charming Vietnamese capital has aged well, preserving the old quarter, monuments and colonial architecture, while making room for modern developments alongside. It describes Ho Chi Minh City as Vietnam's bustling largest city, sets the cultural and economic pace for the country. And Hoi An, as the city on the central Vietnamese coast, is a well-preserved example of the important Southeast Asian trading port it was from the 15th to 19th centuries. It encourages travelers to visit Ha Long Bay for an up-close look at its amazing limestone islands, rock formations and caves.
So what we will do is to stay in Hanoi and then go for one-day trip in Ha Long Bay. And all my friends been there and they were talking to me like, it's so amazing, you need to go there. So finally I said, okay, even if it's short.
I haven't visited Vietnam, but after this ceremony, I will definitely visit Ho Chi Minh City and Hanoi. I heard that Vietnamese noodles and coffee are very good. I will definitely try them. The 5th annual awards recognizes 412 outstanding destinations in 38 markets across the globe. The Traveler's Choice Destinations Award honors top travel spots worldwide based on millions of valuable reviews and opinions from TripAdvisor's travelers. Award winners were determined based on the popularity of the destinations, taking into account travelers' favorites and most highly rated places.
That is the end of our news today. Thanks for watching and goodbye for now.